Over the course of 2 days, dozens of volunteers are working to plant thousands of these tiny marsh grass plants.
Spartina alterniflora is a really important species for the marsh area. It helps filter out the water, filtering out those pollutants, so it acts like the lungs of the coast.
According to Coastal Resiliency Manager Sarah Bodine of the North Carolina Coastal Federation, this work is part of a living shoreline project at Fort Macon State Park, and these plants are the final critical piece of an invaluable restoration puzzle.
It improves water quality. It also helps with its root system keep that shoreline intact. There's a lot of different species that grow in that zone of lower marsh to upland marsh and then to the upland area. So maintaining that transition along the coast is what's going to save our coastlines.
These plants might not look like much now, but Bodine says in about a year, this area will look completely different.
These guys are pretty young. They're probably about 4 months old. In about a year, this guy is probably going to be about a good 2-3 feet high, and they will spread out through rhizomes. So just within a year, this looks pretty sparse. We typically plant our plants about a foot apart, but given just a year, we should see this area fill in real nicely, and it'll look like a natural marsh. It'll look like we never even came in and planted just a little guy.
While this work is going on, researchers from NC State and Duke University are working on their own marsh planting.
Here at this site, we're working with marsh. So that means our primary species here is Spartina alterniflora, smooth cordgrass. So we planted a whole bunch of plots of that. And then in some of those plots, we're going to add in another type of marsh grass. And in others, we're going to add in some bivalves, so things like mussels and oysters.
Their goal is part of a larger study to see if restoration projects like this one can be improved even further by making a few small changes. It's those changes that they're now experimenting with.
We'll continue to monitor these for the next few years and see what kinds of animals move into these plots and whether adding in those marsh grass or those bivalves at the beginning actually leads to more animals living in there as we keep going.
Coastal experts say all of this work is ultimately to preserve an entire ecosystem along the coast.
So with the living shoreline, there's different aspects to the living shoreline. You will typically have some sort of structure acting as a speed bump, that buffer to help protect the marsh plants behind it. That also creates a nursery area. So we have a lot of nursery fishes, crabs, and other wildlife that thrive in these type of environments. So it's important that we protect that. It's all acting as one ecosystem.
During the planting event, nearly 4,000 plants were put in the ground.